With us right now, Ann Coulter. Have you read her book, In Trump We Trust? This is the book on Trump. And, of course, go to her website, AnnCoulter.com. You can get her column. You can get everything there. And you've been reading about this. She was going to speak at Berkeley. Then she's not speaking at Berkeley. Then she is. Then she isn't. It's been a whole battle. And she's on the line now. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. Wouldn't it be better if you didn't speak at Berkeley? If they just had one point of view and that's it, it makes life simpler. It's confusing people with different sides of an issue. That's too much.
I know, it's true, and I think the Berkeley administrators are just smarter than James Madison was, and he forgot to include an asterisk. Free speech, unless it's speech the state doesn't like.
Well, you know, you're laughing, but this one side, they made this work in the Soviet Union for many years. It's worked well in Cuba. You're laughing, but communist China...
No, it's true. And now our lawyer submitted a letter today running through all of their violations of the First Amendment just so far. And that's before I show up on Thursday and get arrested. But just so far, their First Amendment violations, saying that we'll go to court on Monday to demand injunctive relief if they don't find a place to schedule my talk on Thursday. Well, right before I called in to you, we got the letter back from Berkeley.
Oh.
And apparently this is something that cannot be done.
What?
Look, it's one thing to arrange rockets into outer space to be beneath the sea, but on Berkeley campus it is impossible to schedule a room for a 90-minute lecture.
Wow. Now, this University of Berkeley, do they receive government funding? Don't they?
Oh, boy, they sure do. Lots from the federal government. And, of course, this is the University of California. This is a public institution. I mean, even a private college receives boatloads and boatloads of federal aid, not only through the students, which counts as, that allows the federal government to pull strings. But University of California gets so much money from research grants, and it actually is a state institution. So you could not have a clearer case of a First Amendment violation. And needless to say, the First Amendment has been well litigated over the past 200 years, and these are all just blinding principles of First Amendment law. For example, you cannot, Vicente Fox, the corrupt former president of Mexico, who's constantly cursing at the president of the United States and denouncing him. He spoke earlier this week at Berkeley. He got a room. He wasn't asked to reschedule and have his entire retinue, rebook flights. They managed to find a room for him and provide a safe environment. My speech is actually the follow-up to, and it isn't just the college Republicans, I forget the name of the other. There's a nonpartisan group that was spearheaded inviting me. I think they were embarrassed about what happened to Milo. And so, in the spirit of debate, they had a pro-mass immigration speaker last week, former, I think, Obama official, maybe Clinton official, and then I was supposed to, I will be speaking, perhaps from the steps of Spruill Hall, like Mario Savio. So I was designated to speak 2 weeks later in response. Well, again, the first part of the debate with the liberal speaker went off without a hitch. She spoke in the evening, but no, they have all kinds of different requirements and obligations for any conservative speaker. This is now the third time a conservative speaker they've tried to prevent speaking.
You know what's funny is Ann Coulter is like one of the highest paid speakers in the country. Normally people write an enormous check to have her come speak. Here's a college that doesn't want to hear it. It's
well, they'll let me speak from a hot air balloon. The week they suggested, first they were suggesting, sometime in September. Well, that's after, all of their other unconstitutional restrictions and requirements and ruses they put on my speech that, normally conservative speakers say, well, look, no, you don't require this of liberal speakers. You're violating my constitutional rights, all to make sure no one comes to hear the speech. So, for example, Berkeley is insistent that conservative speakers only speak in the middle of the day when kids are in class. We can't give a normal evening speech. But I wanted to speak. I have a nice little speech prepared. I like speaking to college students. I like taking question and answer. It's fun. So I said, okay.
But what is their argument? That it might cause violence? Or
yes, that's the best.
Well, how would somebody making a speech cause violence?
First of all, just to give you the boring law, you are not allowed to what they're doing is the cops only enforce the law if someone tries to stop a liberal speaker. If a conservative speaker is there and riots break out, the cops in Berkeley stand down. They are on video telling people as kids are getting beaten up in front of them, saying, talk to the chief of police. We were told to stand down. We were told to do nothing. Needless to say, there are plenty of court cases on this, and no, the cops cannot only arrest protesters of a particular point of view, which is exactly what Berkeley has done twice now. But moreover, that press conference, I don't know if you saw it yesterday, the captain of the Berkeley police sitting there saying, well, there might be crime. What are we going to do? Yeah. I don't know, call a cop? Well, isn't that your job? What are those things hanging from your belt? Do you know which end of the gun? Is that a glue gun, a real gun? It's the craziest thing. It's like a Monty Python sketch having a cop say, we can't do this because people could break the law. See, that's why we have cops, sir.
Sometimes I watch that crazy Rachel Maddow show, and I don't like what she's saying, but it doesn't make me want to go beat somebody up or break windows. I mean,
and if you did, I think a cop would arrest you, but that's the point. They don't in Berkeley, adding to, there are so many defendants to this prospective lawsuit we have here.
These crazy colleges, nobody's allowed to speak or say it. You always hear about years ago, this senator was the debating champ at Harvard. He was the debating champ at Yale. How are they allowed to debate if you can't give the other side?
No, that's right. Well, that's why even before this latest insularity and fascistic attitude has swept American universities, and it is worse than it's been before. I've never been stopped from speaking at any American college or university. Never, never, never. Sometimes protesters come. Usually at the better colleges with the higher SAT scores, they ask questions, and it's really fun because they are smart kids. And I like, I don't know that they've changed my mind, but they might have gotten me to modify a position or something. They've certainly gotten me to admit things are jokes, so I think they should have recognized that. In any event, it's always been true, and I've always said this, you could pluck any college Republican off any college campus in America, put him on TV or put her on TV. Right now with Rachel Maddow, Chuck Todd, she could win the debate. But college liberals, and I'm not saying that they're stupid, I'm sure they have reasonably high IQs or whatever the average IQ is. It's that they don't have any practice. They've never had to defend anything. They are really being let down by their educations. They can't argue their way out of a paper bag and just come up with these stupid cliches. Now they seem to be just being infantilized with this foot stamping and calling any opinion they don't like hate speech.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. So, who was I talking to today? Somebody very smart and important. They were talking about you, and they said, she's a warrior. She's the bravest person.
Boy, thank you.
Yeah, but you don't say to yourself sometimes, it's just not worth it. Let me stay home.
Well, I want to give my speech.
Yeah.
I think it's a good speech, and okay, I haven't technically written it yet, and if we can get a court to force them to give me a room to give my speech, as I say, otherwise, I think I may give it in the University of California Chancellor's office, Janet Napolitano. Oh, yeah. I think she would enjoy hearing it.
So now what's the exact latest? Your lawyer is going to do something on Monday?
Yes, and actually the letter came through right before I had to go on radio, so I haven't gotten the details, but the gist of it seems to be we can't keep her safe. I know, call a cop.
God, can you... This sounds like it's like the Twilight Zone. Somebody's going to make a speech. We can't keep her safe?
Yes, but it's even better when it's coming from, as it was yesterday at the press conference, a cop sitting in his uniform with a gun on his hip. The men working for these two chiefs of police, the one for campus the campus of Berkeley and one for the town of Berkeley. The rank-and-file police must be so humiliated. I mean, their kids are watching on TV. Well, hey, what do you do for a living, Dad? I arrest lawbreakers, but apparently you don't. You can't.
Well, how come when there's like a 15,000 student George Soros paid for march, they can police that? That's okay.
It is viewpoint discrimination, absolutely 100% unconstitutional to be discriminating against speech this way.
That's unbelievable. And this is not just University of California at Berkeley, but there's other colleges that are doing this. And shouldn't they immediately have all government funding cut off?
Yes. Yes, they should.
And somebody should take this up. I mean, somebody should get the government stop putting any money into it as long as there's censorship there. Yes,
they should. I'd also suggest some minor but reasonable measures, like having Donald Trump call out the National Guard to let me give my speech.
Yeah, President Kennedy had to send the National Guard to take James Maris to school.
No, I know. No, you cannot. Actually, it is a beautiful analogy when they come back and say, oh, no, we're not interfering with free speech. We just have all these various arbitrary and unreasonable requirements. It is like the Democrat Southern sheriff saying, oh, no, we're letting black people vote. They just have to name the first 11 presidents in alphabetical order. No, you can't input arbitrary and unreasonable requirements on someone's exercise of a constitutional right, and this is a constitutional right. The college Republicans and this nonpartisan group, Berkeley something or other, I really got to get their name since it was their idea and they're not getting any credit for this. But anyway, they invited me to speak, and it's their First Amendment rights.
Hey, you might have been kidding, but it's very serious. In the early 60s, troops had to be used all over the country to integrate schools, and I don't think it's a bad idea. Send out the Army, the National Guard, and troops to allow free speech in schools.
Yes.
It's a good idea. It's a good cause. Well, everybody go to AnnCoulter.com and sign up there. You can get her latest column. Hey, if you haven't gotten the book, In Trump We Trust, a big bestseller, go get it. And AnnCoulter.com. Of course, follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. Now, you'll be posting all weekend the latest on what's happening, right?
Yes, I'll send out this latest letter. I tweeted the letter, the letter sent by our attorney, Harmeet Dillon, this morning. Incidentally, an immigrant, and yet, in one generation, she picked up the whole concept of freedom of speech and the rule of law. But Berkeley administrators can't. How long has Berkeley been around? Yeah. They can't pick it up in 100 years.
Well, okay, follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. You can get the latest on this throughout the weekend. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Right, take care.